Resuming debate, the honourable member for Foothills.
Very much, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure to be here to speak about this very important issue. I wanted to say that I'll also be splitting my time with the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Natural Resources. Very odd relationship, but we're here as a team tonight, right? But through the debate tonight, what we should be talking about is the jobs crisis in the energy sector. Specifically, we've talked a lot about Alberta. But our colleagues on the other side in the Liberal government, their discussion tonight has been about what they have done to improve EI. They've talked about this trying to diversify Alberta's economy. Like, Alberta is really excited about not having jobs. Yeah. The key for Albertans is not to have extended EI, and we appreciate when we worked here together to come forward with a plan to address the unemployed situation in Alberta. But what Albertans want are jobs. Albertans, what sets us apart from what I think other parts of Canada, in my own opinion, is our entrepreneurship, our risk-taking mentality. That is what drove the oil sands, a very unique industry in the world. But also tonight we've talked about diversifying Alberta's economy. Like, all we have is oil and gas. Alberta has one of the most diversified economies in all of Canada. Yes. To talk about Alberta and not talk about our coal industry, our forestry, our agriculture sector, there's a reason that everybody knows what Alberta beef is. We have an incredibly diverse economy. But what we have seen over the last year and a half is that Alberta entrepreneurship, that Alberta advantage, being sucked dry by a provincial NDP government, which has implemented a carbon tax, increases to minimum wage, increase in taxes on small businesses and entrepreneurs, and a Liberal government that is doubling down on that. Despite a very difficult time in our energy sector, they are plowing ahead with additional carbon tax on Alberta's energy industry, and not only Alberta's energy industry, but an energy industry which is a nation builder, impacts every province across this country. I spent several days in Nova Scotia earlier this year, and it was amazing how many people came up to me and said, "You need to do something to get Energy East up and running. We depend on that." My friends and my family, we've been flying back and forth to the oil sands in northern Alberta. Now there's nothing for us here. We're back here, and no jobs in Nova Scotia either. We need those energy sector jobs. So just to say that this is an Alberta-centric issue, I appreciate that. It's true, we have felt it maybe more than other people, but this is also a Canadian issue. Energy workers across the country are feeling the pinch of what is going on right now. And what makes it that much more frustrating tonight is we have a Liberal government that's saying, well, we've increased EI. We've approved 3 pipelines. Well, let's be clear on what's actually happened in the last year and a half. You did not approve 3 pipelines. The National Energy Board, they did not approve, through you, Mr. Speaker, the government did not approve 3 pipelines. The government approved 2 pipelines which are already in the system. The National Energy Board approved those pipelines, and they're not new. They're expansions of existing pipelines. Right. And to say they've actually been built and those jobs have been created is disingenuous. We've got a long way to go before we get there. But the one pipeline that I think should stick out the most for us is Northern Gateway. Northern Gateway, which was approved and put forward through the Conservative government under former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, was approved by the National Energy Board, should have been one of those 3 that were approved, but this government made a political decision to say, we don't like that pipeline, despite it being passed by the National Energy Board, we are not going to go with that. So what that has done to the industry is it caused a lot of uncertainty. If I am an investor and I want to invest in Canada, I'm not going to do that. Not because there is a carbon tax, but also because there's no certainty for me to know where the approval is. I can meet every National Energy Board regulation, every environmental standard, which are the best in the world, but when the time comes, the Prime Minister and his cabinet can say no. So when Energy East passes through the National Energy Board regulatory review, which they have delayed, will they support it? Will the government support it, Mr. Speaker? Or will they make a political decision like they did with Northern Gateway and deny it, further putting back Canada's energy industry further behind, causing more stress when we have given them some great options to turn things around now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments?